welcome to the December 25th edition of One Nation Radio here on Lords of Pain, and this is part 2 of the WWE Year in Review on pay-per-view. I am your host, Rich Latta, of course, here with my co-host, James Boyd, live in person. What's going on, man?
Nothing, live in person. You're here in the flesh to do this.
Yep. So if you guys are wondering where part 1 of this thing was, we covered January's Royal Rumble through July's Extreme Rules. Have that show available on the archives in the Social Suplex Podcast Network. You're going to be hearing this show on both networks. So, yeah, man. Reflections of part 1.
Part 1 had one shining light of hope and joy in Royal Rumble, and the rest the rest was okay until we got to WrestleMania, where everything fell off a cliff, and we don't know how to book any of our top people in this company except for Ronda Rousey. Thank God for her. So that's my synopsis of the first half of the year.
Yeah, Royal Rumble was incredible. Then you go into a couple predictable shows in Fastlane and Elimination Chamber, which only served to piss people off. Then, of course, WrestleMania, where the last 8 matches are just not it at all. Then you get the all-time low, essentially, or excuse me, you get the Greatest Royal Rumble after that, and that's just that's a weird show, upon reflection.
It's a house show.
Yeah. It was better than Backlash, though. Because Backlash was just a tragedy.
Well, I think every house show I've ever heard of or been to has been better than Backlash, so, yeah.
Yeah, WWE Backlash set, new standards for ineptitude. It's either that or Battleground 2017 is the worst pay-per-view of this decade. After that, they went to Money in the Bank. Things got a little bit better, but that featured a bunch of good wrestlers wrestling a bunch of sorry wrestlers. From Seth Rollins to Elias to Daniel Bryan versus Big Cass, Roman Reigns versus Jinder Mahal. It was just all right, how many sorry motherfuckers are going to get carried tonight, essentially? Mm-hmm. And of course, we went to Extreme Rules, which was not extreme in the least. So, they had that match with the clock. Wasn't really a memorable show.
No. Don't cut the hook. It wasn't the damn clock. It's because they came out there.
They laid out a terrible match.
That's what I was getting at. They laid out a terrible. What do you know? Another high profile Seth Rollins match that gets a god awful layout, and then the crowd shits on it.
Yeah.
It's as if, I'm not going to say that, but it's as if somebody didn't want him to be where he probably should be. They protect him and they keep him at a high profile, but
go ahead, man. Lay it out.
It just seems like they don't. You think of all the brilliant ways they've tried to get Roman Reigns hot, or there are things they've done with Strowman over the past 2 years.
Uh-huh.
It's made him it's awesome. It seems like they gave him Monday Night Raws in that gauntlet match, and nothing else they've done has been to actually try to make him an actual top star or make him a main eventer. He is he's at worst the third biggest guy on that brand, and they treat him like a mid-carder.
Yeah, and it remains to be seen where he's headed from here, but he definitely is a guy that has a very uneven year. And it's unfortunate because
it's also really weird that the beginning of the year on pay-per-view, or the beginning of the year, it was bad. Especially on pay-per-view, and he was he a godsend. He's he's a shining light amongst all the doo-doo. And then the people they start booking a little bit better. People start stepping up.
The levels start.
It goes up, and meanwhile he doesn't actually rise with it. He more or less kind of stays in place, if not stagnates.
Yeah.
So that's kind of weird.
Yeah. But yeah, man, we're going to get started with SummerSlam, which was a show that featured Roman Reigns winning the Universal Championship via Thief. But we'll get to that later. We had the big Daniel Bryan and Miz match. The Demon Finn Balor ended up being shown, but we're going to start with the guy we just talked about. Seth Rollins and Dolph Ziggler had an opener, 22 minutes for the Intercontinental Championship. I remember this one being the classic Seth Rollins match at this point. First 9 or 10 minutes, they're just hanging out in the ring, getting the view, trading holds, and then after the Falcon Arrow, these dudes decide to really wrestle. Yeah. So I remember liking the match at the time.
You're absolutely right. It's like going to the top of a roller coaster. It's like they're like the slow track up and up and up and up and up and up, and as like he comes off the ring for the Falcon Arrow, like it's literally going down, and also you get all the momentum and speed and twists and turns. Yeah. So yeah, definitely.
And this also featured Dean Ambrose in his first pay-per-view appearance. He had came back 6 days before this, and then hadn't done anything. He's just backing up Seth Rollins like everything's all good, helping his brother, if you will.
It was awesome. He had that I've been away like workout, like that extra 5-10 pounds muscle you get when you're away. Yep. And you're coming back. So he had that going for him. He finally decided to get a haircut that matches his attitude. And he looked really like menacing at points and like brooding and intense. I mean, Seth. I think the main thing that differentiates between like the serious Ambrose people actually want, and the goofy, bust arounds, give me some more cowboy hat. Dean Ambrose is like intensity, and like when he was like like he was going to hatchet McIntyre's arm off if he touched him, if he touched Seth on like around the ring, like so like it was really cool to think like it's flat out new character, like this is interesting.
Turned out not to be the case, but whatever. They had us.
It was interesting until they decided to like make him do things that, like, if you look at that Chronicle documentary, he clearly was not. That was clearly not the direction that was in mind. Like, there was a change of plans, pal. So that's where we are.
Then we had a tag match between the New Day and the Bludgeon Brothers. Went to a DQ. I remember it being a pretty good match at the time. Yeah. And then it went to a DQ and we were all pissed off.
Yeah, I remember it felt like a bit of a sprint. Like, they were trying to, like, get it. Like, they were getting in big moves on them and they were on the ropes. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, how do we survive this? Because we're going to, can't give you the finish here. We got, in old days, you gotta pay for the good stuff. No, right. No. You get to the part where you pay, and then actually, like, we were gonna save that, and then, like,
for TV,
you gotta give it to you for free.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Okay.
Yeah. This is all types of backwards.
Yeah.
After that, we had a Braun Strowman and Kevin Owens match, and this was the culmination of their feud that featured Braun Strowman whooping Kevin Owens' ass all summer. Kevin Owens laying down for this dude,
including almost murdering.
Yes. Him. Including almost murder, and this was a singles match for Strowman's Money in the Bank contract. Going into this, a lot of people were summarizing that Kevin Owens would beat him somehow and end up cashing in the main event and running away as a heel champion for Roman Reigns to chase. A lot of people thought that. That didn't happen. He came out there, he got mollywopped, he got power slammed, and that was it.
Squizzoshed.
Yeah. Strowman was not done for the night. We did get Charlotte against Becky Lynch and Carmella, and this match was the genesis for the man to be born. So, Charlotte Flair, like the scoundrel she is, hit Becky Lynch when she was turned around going for a pin.
When she had the match won.
When she had the match won, flips in, hits a natural selection, wins the title off that god-awful Carmella, who just... between her and Alexa, this was a night of getting the belt off of both of their ass. And all throughout the beginning of the year and all these parts, the women's title were in a stranglehold with Carmella on one side and Alexa Bliss on the other.
Right. And it's amazing how, where we've gone with the women since they both had the titles taken off them. It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's just how they've both been, rocket strapped in elevation. Like we live in Florida. We went from like the Florida to the goddamn Rocky Mountains in elevation between the prestige of both of these titles.
Yes,
in one night. It's amazing.
So Becky snaps on Charlotte after. The whole crowd goes nuts because we're like tired of Charlotte taking Becky's moments. And of course, they came out.
I think this is mostly what happened is most of the people that were there were rooting for Becky. You can hear it in the crowd. She's the most over woman. She's the most over person on the show. And then she loses. People are let down, and then they're doing the hug thing. You're just like,
not this again.
Not respect and love and all this other stuff. Like don't be Seth Rollins after getting thrown out of the Royal Rumble by Roman Reigns. Just be, oh, you got me. You got me, Charlotte. You're the best. You got me. She, I remember the promo the next night. She's like, when the mat when the ref's hand hit the mat for the third time, it was a crystallizing effect, and I realized that I was going to raise her hand and I was going to rip her head off. She beat the piss out of Charlotte, and it was the beginning of many beatings.
Yes.
Becky was going to give Charlotte for the next few months.
Several.
And it's interesting because we go back to the Royal Rumble and we talked about what the cannon fodder that Finn Balor had to be to get Kane over to take the pin from Brock Lesnar,
right?
As opposed to just having Finn Balor do it or go out there and wrestle Brock Lesnar, because the talk was that Finn wasn't over enough, and that determination was made when there were still 10 shows before they got to a Rumble. So, just a quick question: do you know how many? Okay, so you know how long 10 weeks is, for example.
10 weeks is like 2.5 months.
Right. And more specifically, if you go for Becky Lynch, for example, if you go from the time she slapped the piss out of Charlotte at the end of that match to Evolution, that's 10 weeks.
That's incredible, ain't it?
Now imagine you go from being this woman that people like to all of a sudden you become the hottest thing in the fucking company in 10 weeks. I thought you couldn't do that. I thought it wasn't fucking possible. Right?
I mean, all it was we can't have Braun Strowman in the Royal Rumble because then he has to win, but he also can't lose the Royal Rumble or else the whole thing doesn't make sense.
And fuck Finn Balor too.
Yeah, and fuck Finn Balor. So it was a combo of those things.
I looked at it. Actually, I meant to say that I had it in the chamber for.
Had that on the tuck.
I had that in the chamber for the fuck out of here draft, but I just slipped my mind.
Yep.
But I was like, let's bring it up here since we got the whole thing. Like Becky got herself over that fast. So. Anyway, that was the most over thing on the whole show.
Yeah, and the whole crowd lost it.
Yes.
From there we went
because Charlotte commands no sympathy. None.
Yes, none. After that, we had Samoa Joe and AJ Styles. Joe winning by DQ after he basically disrespected AJ Styles to his face. By calling out Wendy, telling her Daddy was going to come home, I believe. And these guys had a hell of a match with a DQ finish.
Is this the only, fuck finish? Or this has to be the only one I can think of recent memory where people had a hot match and a fuck finish and, you wanted more and you were okay with it. You're just like, okay, I see that. Normally when it's you get a fucking hot match, it's like, dude, you're killing me.
Yep. And it was this is fresh in the middle of AJ Styles having all these fuck finishes on pay-per-view. He did beat Rusev cleanly, but the whole Nakamura thing was just built on, ridiculously as far as him, ending matches with dick kicks and countouts and double draws. And
do you think that a lot of people felt that way because they thought that we were going to get Hell in a Cell between them? Do you think that's also the reason why?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we thought, Hell in a Cell's next month. Yeah, we're going to do that.
Sense. Blood feud, they had a heated finish and heated disputed finish or whatever. Okay, go into the cell. Right?
You would think that, but apparently that was not the plan. So after that, that was a hell of a match too with the finish. I'm not I give it 4 1/4.
Yeah, same here.
Had they gone to a clean finish, it may have been higher for me.
Could have been a match of year contender.
Yep. Then we had The Miz taking on Daniel Bryan, defeating him. Daniel Bryan's first extended match on pay-per-view.
With a
non-bum, correct. And, they did their little cute storyline to have The Miz hit him with the brass knucks. Daniel Bryan punched him in the face repeatedly throughout the match. And this whole thing was really weird because we got to the show, crowd was dead, and then The Miz had a lot more support than you would think going into this. So this just had me looking like, how much have they damaged Daniel Bryan already?
The answer was a lot.
And it was just like, this man literally had to turn heel to save his whole shit.
Yeah.
I liked the match at the time. I thought it made sense, It
was a good match. I think the thing was that you have Bryan basically beating the hell out of him throughout the match. And like, I'll show you what tough is. That sort of thing. But Miz just couldn't match the physicality because Miz just isn't going to hit. Isn't going to
He's not with.
Miz isn't going to wrestle Miz isn't going to strike and hit and punch and grapple with that extra oomph that someone like Bryan does, right? And it was clearly one person is working at WWE, that Dean Ambrose Miz Russell and Water deal. And those matches, you can still get those matches over, but you got to do some finagling with them. Mm-hmm. And then Daniel Bryan is still working at that level that he was, that he was
always at.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then rolled out of bed and just kept, performing that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So it was. It's the match still got there, it was good, but
I think there was something missing here because
I feel like people will think more highly of this match in a retrospect, in the immediate retrospect, if they got a more satisfying feud in the back end. It was appropriate. I didn't care that they did the mixed challenge next pay-per-view, but the fact that they made a number one contendership match that at Crown Jewel, a match you thinking okay, so this is going to be another a match similar to the first one, but we actually get a clean finish. He just squashes him. You're just this was a thing that was the first, the build to this, the build to the next pay-per-view. It felt like this was a feud of the year contender, and then by the time we got to it, it was made into a joke. It wasn't even supposed to.
They had all this heat for it in 2016. They never could quite recapture the magic, and it was just. This should have been a main event style thing. I had enough, heat behind it, and then it's right in the middle of the show. So it did end up getting the most time on the card.
And it was a really good match. It wasn't for me, it's I'm watching Joe and AJ beat the hell out of each other,
right?
And then I get to this, and it's also another heated feud. But it's I see Bryan hitting the hell out of him, but Miz just ain't bringing it.
Yeah.
So.
After that, we had the Demon Finn Balor show up as a surprise, squashing Baron Corbin. I thought Baron Corbin's career was over after this match. Get rid of him. But I was sadly mistaken.
We know we're going to give him more TV time to get himself even more under as a character. Jesus Christ.
That demon shit was over, and we ain't seen it since. So he didn't get to do it for WrestleMania. This is the only time I believe this year he's got to pull the pain out. And he felt like a superstar, didn't he?
To squash this fucking goon.
Yeah. Then Shinsuke Nakamura and Jeff Hardy had a nothing match for the United States Championship. It's amazing how fast someone can fall in a year.
I don't even remember this match. Was this they were doing the thing where when basically him and Randy Orton were both beating the piss out of Jeff?
Yes.
Okay.
Randy Orton was off the show. He was sidelined. Shinsuke Nakamura,
first Ballet Hall of Famer, sidelined.
Yeah. Shinsuke Nakamura was, I think this might have been his only time he defended the belt on pay-per-view.
Was this a quick match?
Yes. It was 11 minutes.
Okay.
After that, we had Ronda Rousey absolutely destroy Alexa Bliss, and I couldn't be happier to end the run of mediocrity of just 2-star wrestling, just terrible, non-physical, just literally just we're going to put somebody on top of the division that just ain't got it.
Completely afraid of any and all contact, taking bumps on, just
Like, is this what y'all like now that we have like this Becky Lynch shit and this Charlotte shit and this Asuka shit to contrast it to
in these Ronda matches,
are y'all gonna sit here and still lie and tell me that Alexa Bliss was that heat in these streets at any point that she was being pushed from, what is this, December 2016 to SummerSlam 2018? Did she ever move the culture once?
My answer is hell no, but
fuck no, she never moved the culture once.
My answer is that she's a good promo, and that's pretty much it.
Like, you got to do more. Like, yeah. You got to do more. She is a mediocre to average wrestler in the ring, but she is a good promo, and that's pretty much it. And maybe she gets better, maybe she doesn't, maybe she's done, maybe she isn't, but. That's what we got from her for that entire span, even when they overpushed her to the moon. And it's so funny that they overpushed her to that extent, and then like for them to, after making her literally, they overpushed her more than people complain about Charlotte. Like Charlotte is awesome, and like she's pushed more than her. And like Charlotte, like I said, Charlotte is awesome. Alexa is not awesome in any sense. So you have that and. So they did all this over pushing, and then it's time for her to go to Ronda, and they beat the brakes on her. They let her slap a rear naked choke on her, and then like she no sells in rear naked choke, and then she throws her off her and beats the piss out of her, and then like tortures this poor woman. So like it was just funny. It's like, so wait a second. So you mean to tell me like you did all of this just to send her to the gallows? This was part of the Ronda path. Like this is like the nice safe path.
But what I'm saying is, Ronda could easily dispatch her. She didn't have to embarrass Alexa. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. Like for me, it's like you push this average ass woman for so long, and like, so you just done now? If this is the case,
she did get a rematch after this.
If this is the case, can we go back in time and give me a longer and give me a Sasha Banks run in between all this Alexa mediocrity?
Yes.
If that's the case, you can go back in time because like this is bullshit. Like the way
she monopolized the belt for damn near a year and a half.
Now you look at for example, Jinder. She's not nearly as bad as Jinder. I'm like straight up, she's so much better than Jinder. But whatever.
I've seen Jinder have a 3.5 star match on pay-per-view.
Dude, who would you rather see on TV more for 10 minutes at a time between Jinder or Alexa Bliss?
It's tough.
It ain't tough for me.
It's real tough.
It ain't tough for me.
I think they're both. I think they're both rotten. Horrific. I think they're both rotten. Like you're not gonna get me to argue like one or the other, but like I've seen.
Look. You're doing one
Jinder Mahal looks like an imposing professional wrestler.
You know what this sounds to me like for you?
What
it sounds like when people talk about like ain't no reason to vote. Like if I vote, then all I'm doing is be voting for the lesser of two evils. That's the point, motherfucker. Sometimes you have to vote for the lesser of two evils. Like sometimes you have to pick the thing that is going to be not the worst thing on the earth just because you don't agree with like the less evil thing. That's the point. Yeah. So anyway. Like for me,
just awfulness all around.
Okay, sorry, we're getting distracted, but yeah, I'd rather deal with Alexa being like taking the Corbin role. She'd be so much better than Corbin, or especially in having to deal with like Jinder and his Ashanti shit. Yeah. Sorry. So, anyways, like same thing is like okay, like now that Jinder is a fucking geek again, can we go back in time and I can get like a Kevin Owens title reign, like a Miz title reign,
something,
as opposed to this. You're wasting my time.
Speaking of waste of times, we had Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar in the main event of SummerSlam. So these guys had a whole setup to make this match go by, to try to pull the wool over people's eyes, to scam, to fraud the audience.
In the main story, when you leave out of it, if you like, you accept that, like, if you're okay with if you don't care or you accept that they pulled a scam job to get off the air with cheering. The end of the day, the storyline is that Roman Reigns won the championship, but Brock Lesnar is scared of and shook of Strowman, or concerned with Strowman, not Roman Reigns. That's somebody he's already beaten and like is okay with fighting.
It's not a strong victory.
But he's there sitting there like while fighting. While Strowman's sitting there just either worried about him. It's weird.
We pushed this motherfucker for 5 years at this point to do a distraction finish. That's
my point. My point is, you built this dude for 5 years, and the best you can do is tell a story where he was a championship, but the real story is that the guy that he just hit the belt off of is more worried about the guy outside the ring than inside the ring. So that's a terrible fucking story.
So when we get to this, they're starting with all the boos. Strowman comes out, everyone cheers because everybody assumes Strowman's going to insert himself. Strowman said, I'm going to be here waiting for whoever, wins. Y'all got to deal with me after this. Then he gets sacrificed to Brock Lesnar like normal. And somehow Brock ends up taking the spear at the end after he has a chair with Reigns. 1, 2, 3. And they rush off the air in under 2 minutes. And they play replays. They do everything but show you the crowd and everything like that. And then they zoom in real tight on Roman Reigns. And you see that fucking thing in the bottom of the left-hand screen, like the signature. Yes. And they off the air. They literally scam the audience. You have never seen WWE sign off the air faster. It was supposed to be a coronation. It was supposed to be balloons. It was supposed to be pyro. It was supposed to be confetti. None of that. We're out of here. Holla. We got your money. Fuck y'all. We'll see y'all tomorrow.
Yep. And
we running off like a thief in the middle of the night.
Yeah. Like Derek Fisher after the .4 shot. So, yeah. And then you start seeing the video. Obviously, we're not supposed to really care about this because it's quote unquote it's off camera, but you see the videos of people playing the videos knowing, like, once they come to the realization that, oh my God, they've already went off air. Like, Strowman's not cashing in. And then you get all the boos. It's like, well, and if Vince backstage, like, well, we already gone. Nobody can hear you. Look, no one around
They'll never hear you scream.
They're going to have to find that shit on YouTube. Yeah. It's like, dude, why run your business like this? Why?
And, on the Fuck Out of Here draft, we were addressing a lot of the FDS, right? And we're saying, y'all ain't tired of this? And now I propose that to, like, Vince McMahon. It's like, you're not tired of having to, like, make excuses and come up with these gimmicks to deceive the crowd for Roman Reigns, like, and him going over Brock. Why couldn't you just have him go over him strong and beat the shit out of him? Like, you don't think... You haven't tried that with Lesnar. I don't understand why he would continue to want to run his, the top of his card like this.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so do you remember the movie The Help?
Yes.
Do you remember, like, the very end? Like, the whole thing is about, like, Bryce Dallas Howard. I can't remember her name. I think it might be Millie was her name. And she is basically, like, just a terrible person throughout the whole entire movie. And... yeah, no, it's Hilly, and she's this awful woman, and like all of a sudden at the end, like Viola Davis, like she's about to fire her because they found out that the book was about her, and they're trying to fire her and do these women wrong, and Miss at the end's like, see, then they plant some silver on Viola Davis' character, and Viola's character goes, ain't you tired, Miss Hilly? Ain't you tired? You're like, dude, Vince. WWE, ain't you, FDS, ain't you tired of having to be okay with lying to yourselves about this bullshit? Stop this. Let's be ashamed of yourselves.
Yeah. And that was SummerSlam. Overall, like a mixed bag of a show. I thought it was a scam with that match. The Ronda match was just a squash. Nakamura Hardy was nothing. It was cool seeing the Demon. Daniel Bryan and Miz was, it was alright.
No, it was a really good match, but it wasn't great.
Yeah.
And we all thought, given like some of the matches that Miz
should have been great.
It should have been great.
Styles and really Joe was really good. Rollins and Ziggler was good in the second half of the match. And, of course, we got the big angle with Becky Lynch, so that kind of overshadowed that match.
But to be fair, that match was okay.
Yeah.
Probably better than okay, but yeah, you get my point. I have to rewatch it if I say it was actually good or not, but yeah.
After that, we had Hell in a Cell. So, we have Randy Orton and Jeff Hardy in the opener in a Hell in a Cell match, and these guys beat the shit out of each other, and had for two guys their age and, their experience level, they crafted a relatively heated rivalry in the time it took to build this up, and they actually got the Hell in a Cell match instead of the WWE Championship, which was a head scratcher at the time. I don't know why Orton couldn't have had a stipulation like a no holds barred match, and they could have done everything except the big fall, but it did feature one of our favorite spots. It was Randy Orton bouncing off the rope with the chair. It's absolutely hilarious.
Basically he like loads up with the chair and then bounces off of the rope, and then he strikes down on across Jeff Hardy's back. And he did it multiple times. It's like, what does this what does this bounce off the ropes have to do with what? Yeah. And then obviously you have the screwdriver spot with the ear, which is like which is revolting and like skin crawling to a bunch of people. You had the chair spot where he goes through a chair, Randy, and all of a sudden like the chair broke off into it, and then it rips up a hunk of flesh out of Orton's leg, which added to the match of how gruesome it was, because like it's one thing for Orton to get all of this like gross looking stuff over as if he's like some type of mutilator, but it was another thing for like that to happen to him, and then like he's still wrestling with this stuff sticking out of his leg.
It's like a shining moment for Randy Orton this year, and it was like this is not going to get a lot of matches.
This is his best match in ages.
Yeah, this is not going to get a lot of match of the year love, but this is a really good match.
You know what? That might have been his best match since like Elimination Chamber against Luke Harper. Or actually, I'll take that back. The Randy Orton, the AJ Styles match as SmackDown.
Yeah, and I really liked that. I think I went 4 stars on that match.
I would have given it 4 stars. Yeah.
Becky Lynch defeated Charlotte clean.
Whoa, hold on, real quick. We must make note that Jeff Hardy climbed to the top of the Hell in a Cell roof. He climbed on it, and with Randy Orton laid out on a table, and then he swung up and down to try to get parallel to Randy Orton so he could fall on him, and Randy Orton moved out the way as he fell, and he went through a table in the ring, and then the paramedics came to come get him, stretcher him out, and then as that happened, Randy Orton stopped the paramedics, and then told the ref to count the pin, because Hell in a Cell,
there are no rules.
There are no rules in Hell in a Cell, and there must be a winner.
Yes.
Keep that in mind to when we get to the main event of this fucking show.
Also, about the Hell in a Cell, they had the rubber cell and they painted it red.
Yes.
So it's like a safer cell and kind of a more visually striking cell. And it wasn't as bad on camera as you might have thought. Yeah.
But and also the same thing with how they gimmicked up
the Elimination Chamber.
I
like it better.
I like it better because guys are not afraid to do, or it's easy for guys to bump against and bump on, and people still buy it as you're still falling into a still great, as opposed to the softer out or thing. And the same thing with the cage, because now the cell, it has that rubber coating on, that slick coating on it. It won't just stick you or whatever else, compared to when you take you get Irish whipped off it, or you get lawn darted into it. So it's safe for the guys. So, and people still buy all of it. So good.
Yeah. They should have did this years ago.
Yes. Look, I'm all for making the stuff safe for the guys and girls.
So after that, we had Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair. Becky Lynch capturing the women's title after like a month of like creative nirvana for her. They tried that first week with Becky to make her cut "you people" promos on the fans. We weren't going for it. They started editing stuff out in video packages to basically take those comments out and act like that shit never happened, and this was during that whole "that's not the story you were told" bullshit. Yeah. And then she just becomes an intense character after that.
Yeah, because the first week she comes out and says, I should be standing here the champion. Charlotte stole it from me, and ever since that, and because she did it, I gave her the beating. She said she wanted to prove to the doubters that she wasn't just Charlotte's friend, and she said she envisioned herself holding the title up, saying she was a woman, and she was a top star, she was a champion, and she put the division back on the map. And she also says stuff. She also goes on to say like, but guys, were you guys really with me? I know you guys cheering, but were you guys really with me? And the whole crowd
bracing the yes chant.
Bracing yes, she goes, yes! You hear a eruption of yes, and then she cuss part, try to distance herself from the fans, and then, like, she goes back into saying, like, that I see things clearly now, and I knew that, once I went to raise her hand and hug her, I was going to rip her head off. And there's not a person in that and there's not a woman in that locker room or anybody in this crowd or anybody on TV or is watching this right now that could tell me any different. And then, like, we were on from there, and then they did the fight, they did the pull apart deal, and
Becky whooped that ass week after week.
People were thirsting for this woman to finally get something to get her due.
Yep.
And this was a great match.
And this was like. And this comes going back to Elimination Chamber when she was the one that was pushed off the Money in the Bank thing. Mm-hmm. Through this time, she's beating people the whole summer on TV. She finally claims the championship. Clean victory. Kind of rolls through Charlotte's spear. Mm-hmm. Was a good match. Went over 13 minutes. Then we had a match for the Tag Team Championship between Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre and Ambrose and Rollins. This match was great.
Well, real quick about the Becky Charlotte thing. We get to the end of it, and it reminded me of when Omega beat Okada for the championship, the IWGP Championship. He's been going through it, and it's been weird with between his Ibushi and also with the Young Bucks, and then he wins the title, and the first thing he does is he hugs his friends because ultimately he's a good person, and his friends are more important than the belt. At the end of the day, this was you go to SummerSlam. What happened? And she turned on Charlotte, and then she wins. And for Charlotte, it was I felt betrayed, but you felt you needed to do this, and you won. So, and you're the champion. You're the better woman that night. So, and I'm okay with that, and I'm even okay with you beating me beating me up left and right. But I still want my friend back. I extend my hand, and for Becky, it was no. The story is
fuck all that.
The story is I've been your friend for so long that it's been to the detriment. I feel I've now realized it's been to the detriment of my career, or that's how I feel anyway. So, no, it ain't my friendship. My friendship with you is no longer more important than this belt that I've been trying to chase down since I lost it. So, no, I will not shake your hand. Get out my ring, if anything. I thought that was good. I thought that was interesting storytelling. So yeah,
Ziggler, McIntyre, and Ambrose and Rollins had a hell of a match. This pulled the tag team championships to a whole nother level that it had not been on pretty much a whole year. It had been mired in mediocrity, and then literally went back to it right after.
Yeah, this is a third tier match of the year contender for the main roster.
Yeah, really liked that match a lot.
I love the finish.
Yeah. They had McIntyre looking like a god on this night.
He won the match. Dolph Ziggler was about to be beaten, and then he swoops in with the Falcon Arrow, and then he actually catches the Falcon Arrow with the Claymore, and then they get the victory, and then he carries both belts, and
Ziggler,
and then also carries Ziggler out. It was now that's how you book. Now that's how you book. From this point forward, that's how you book. If you want to make somebody, that's how you do it on the undercard.
Yeah. And after that, we had AJ Styles and Samoa Joe in the WWE Championship match, just over 19 minutes. Disputed finish with AJ Styles rolling through the sleeper attempt, but tapping on the other side, but still getting the pinfall. And this was this was just me throwing my hands in the air and saying,
I've had enough of all these AJ Styles fuck finishes.
Yes. I wrote a column around that time. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
And I was just like, if y'all not going to respect this man as the champion, just take the fucking belt off him. I'm tired of this, man. You're ruining all his matches doing this.
Okay, so...
Because y'all can't book.
No, they can't. So, do you remember... Okay, I don't know if you ever saw the movie because it was so ridiculous, but you remember, with Samuel L. Jackson, like he was doing action movies, still doing action movies, but like he was doing action movies as like a top star and whatever else, and he was willing to do any damn movie. He said that man was doing Snakes on a Plane.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen any parts of Snakes on the Plane, like in like any like let's say like a snippet from YouTube or funny stuff? So. Okay, so
yeah, I don't think
there
so.
was a funny part on Snakes on the Plane that there's like a YouTube like thing that went quote unquote viral before viral was a thing. So he gets to a point where I guess it's like right before the third act. He goes, I've had enough of these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane. But when the fuck finish happened with AJ and Joe here, I know you, because I imagine when you wrote it, I just imagine like your reaction was, I am sick and tired of these motherfucking fake fuck finishes in these motherfucking AJ style pay-per-view matches.
Yes,
I've had enough.
I've had enough. They put me over their knee. They broke my will. They spanked me. They just have done everything just to ruin my appetite for a lot of these AJ Styles matches at this point. Enjoy the match a lot. Of course, it was a continuation of what they had going on at SummerSlam. And these two did kick the shit out of each other, but then they decided, we need to have another reason to do another match.
Yeah. If there was ever a night for AJ Styles to have lost the title to somebody this year,
this was it.
This would have been it.
Yep.
Yes.
And Samoa Joe, always a bridesmaid, never the bride.
Nope.
Then, of course, we had the Miz and Maurice and Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella to further cool down their feud. And Brie Bella and Maurice doing some of the worst professional wrestling in North America this year. Just botching everything in sight.
If I'm remembering, is this like right as we get into, or no, this is before, or is this before or after like she knocks out Liv?
This is before.
Okay, just want to make sure. I couldn't really remember.
This is before.
Yeah, Maurice was just out here just playing wrestler.
Yeah. And this was just this is not what this feud needs.
Brie was trying, but it's like, look what you put me in the ring with.
Yeah. I had no idea what was going on here, and this was just me further looking at them saying, wow, this is what you've done with Daniel Bryan. Mm-hmm. I can't believe this.
I will say this, though. I did enjoy it for it being a banter bullshit match, right? Like, it was for me, like, I had no expectation for the match, and I enjoyed how goofy and funny it was. Now, for somebody that's like, look, man, these two could be having a 4-star match right now. You deserve all you are well within your right to hate this match for the end of time, and I don't begrudge you for it, and I'm not gonna tell you you're wrong for it. But I will say that for me, for a person that like literally like took a hands off approach on this match, like I thought I enjoyed it at times.
Yeah, but
go ahead and say fuck that match on the move.
Yeah, but fuck that match. This is just another match on the descent of the babyface character of the best babyface of the last 20 years.
Yep,
this is all I see. I see red when I see the 8 months of time between him basically cutting that promo and breaking Twitter and us doing that podcast that night and then him firing the fuck up on Kevin Owens that night and then kicking AJ Styles in the nuts. There's this whole block of time that I just literally marked red. Just
you ain't wrong. You're not wrong. I just said I like the match because I just completely was like, look, this match is gonna be whack, and so like I'm just gonna take my critical brain off of this match. It's gonna be awful, and there was awful moments because, like I said, Maurice was out here literally just out here pretending, but like I did enjoy moments of the match. Like I did enjoy when they got their yes kicks off and they were out here like laying into Bryan and Maurice with yes kicks. I did enjoy that.
So Rousey and Alexa had another match, and this one went 3 times as long as the other one. They had Alexa beating on Ronda and Ronda doing a bunch of selling for her. I didn't like it at
because
all.
She had hurt ribs, and the weird thing about her ribs is like her ribs gave out like it's a Seth Rollins knee or some shit. And it's just like oh, you have her lifted up. Oh no, your ribs went out. How the fuck do ribs go out?
Yeah.
How does what? It's not a joint.
I didn't like this match. I thought Rousey was selling way too much for Alexa, and this was the match where I felt like, all right, now that they've done this, it's like people can get heat on Ronda now. It's like you're. It's not like she's selling for Nia Jax.
They literally said, like, let's go over 5 minutes with Goldberg. Why would you go over 5 minutes with Goldberg?
Yeah.
Especially with her. I don't give a damn how bad her ribs are. Like, in a shoot, look, unless ribs are missing, in a shoot, Ronda Rousey would rip her limb from limb within minutes. So
I think Ronda would beat up Alexa Bliss blindfolded with one arm behind her back.
Or are you saying all she needs is to grab a hold?
Yes. And be able to punch.
If she can grab a hold, it's a wrap for her.
Yep.
Okay, I see that. I can see some of that.
And then, of course, I gave this match 0 stars, James. Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman had possibly the worst Hell in a Cell match. Yes, worse than The Undertaker and Big Boss Man at WrestleMania 2000.
There was a man
or 99, excuse me.
There was a man hung, Rich.
At least that match had a finish.
Because there was finish via chokeage. Via
Dean Ambrose and Drew McIntyre. Where the fuck did they go?
They're still up there.
They're still up there, for all I know. These are clones that we've been seeing the last couple months.
I mean,
Dolph Ziggler and Seth Rollins taking these bumps for nothing.
For nothing.
Literally nothing. They don't even show them.
Yeah, you think of the Shawn Michaels bump in the first Hell in a Cell match.
Taking all the bumps they don't want Reigns and Strowman to take.
Yeah, like this match. Okay. If I had a list of because we started back watching wrestling like 7 years ago. If you wrote a list of pay-per-view fuck finishes and or wonky stuff that happened on pay-per-view and WWE pay-per-views or main events anyway, that has to rank up like somewhere in the top 10 of like what?
Yeah.
You brought back Lesnar.
Yep. Brock Lesnar comes back.
He kicked in the fucking locked door like he's Kane with his foot. These two assholes, they left the cage. These two assholes are still up there. They may die. They may not.
Yes.
No one even going to put a camera up there to even care because they know we're not supposed to care about these two guys' lives.
So Roman Reigns and Strowman, they do a spear through a table and then they're down for like 10 minutes, like it's a referee at WrestleMania 17 with the Undertaker and Triple H while they brawl around the fucking Astrodome.
But at least he's a geek.
Correct. The referees are geeks. These guys are supposed to be the top fighters that are out here on your brand. And this was just like the peak of like, oh my god, they won't let this Reigns and Lesnar shit die. And this was a stranglehold that not only hurt Roman Reigns, it hurt Brock Lesnar because Lesnar came back. He has so much go away. When he shows up, it makes us want to go away. It made Chad want to go away. Yeah. He literally quit the Doc Says the day after this.
He expedited the process. He was planning like he had nudged and kind of like sort of kind of like alerted people that like he may leave around WrestleMania 35 or at the end of WrestleMania 35. Like that process got expedited like a mug.
You know what? Fuck this. Fuck
the road to WrestleMania and kiss my ass.
Yeah.
I'm out of here. Yeah. Go to hell. In the words of Chad Matthews, go to hell.
So yeah, I thought this was just all-time bad booking. Roman Reigns never felt more like Diesel than he did on this night, where his first major pay-per-view title defense ends in a fucking tie. If you could check out the 1995 Royal Rumble, and there's actually a clip of Kevin Nash talking about it. He's like, "Do you think that fucking makes me look strong?" Like the first time I defend the belt, it ends in a fucking tie. Yeah. Like
who exactly do I say owes me like what do you say roughly? This is about like the 6-month mark, right? From like at that point in time from WrestleMania, right?
Yeah.
6 months. So who do I go to get these like 24 The Doc Says podcasts out of? Do I go to Chad or do I go to Braun Strowman or Brock Lesnar or Roman or McIntyre or Ziggler or
I think you gotta go see Vince about this.
Or Vince or Triple H, Stephanie. Like, do I have to go to Stanford to get these 24? I
think you might have to.
Okay.
Or you might have to just go to take a trip to North Carolina to go see Chad and be like, hey, I'm here for the shows. What shows? What?
How do you get my address? Yeah, so that's another part about it is like, you think about like some of the stuff that happens with some of these shows is like, there are things outside, like the extra coverage analysis that happens, and you're just like, people's decisions are just like, yeah, we're done. Like, you're just fold it up. Like, grand closing right now.
So
liquidation sale.
Yeah. So that's Hell in a Cell. We're gonna try to get through the next couple of these, or this next one here. The WWE Super Showdown. This is a house show in Australia that they put on the network. Okay. Main evented Triple H and The Undertaker in that no DQ match. Very slow, very long. The Triple H principle was in effect. If his match is on the show, is going to be the longest of the show.
Yeah.
They did the double turn at the end to set up, what became known as the tag match at Crown Jewel. Shawn Michaels and Kane were seconds for this match.
But they shot a double turn angle, but like everybody was already faces, and then like after that, everybody was all faces.
Yeah.
It's like, what the so I just doing something just to do it.
Yep. Just doing shit.
When you're legends, you can. When you're a legend, you can have shades of Great Pal.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Daniel Bryan rolled up the Miz in 2 minutes and 25 seconds, and I didn't even know what the fuck happened here.
Miz did his finisher on that man.
He kicked out.
And then he kicked out, and then he beat him
with a small package.
He beat him with a small package and left.
Crowd didn't know what happened. I didn't know what happened.
It's like, what? Like, can you make like whatever? Like whatever. Like, okay, you want to make him strong. Like, if you want to make him strong, then he should have won at SummerSlam, as opposed to they go throw all this goof ass shit, and then he goes out here and wins. Like, okay, so Miz won the first two matches, but he won the last one, and now we're just like, it feels like Daniel Bryan dominated this feud, even though he clearly didn't. It's weird. Yeah. Really weird.
Shield and the Dogs of War. I actually didn't see this match. What did you have any memories of this match, James?
They had two matches. One was on here, and then one was either like the Go Home Show 2 Super Showdown, or the night, or
it was the night after. Yeah.
I can't remember which one was the storytelling one, where it was like, where does Dean Ambrose's allegiances a lie? Oh my god!
Allegiances lie.
Thank you, Thank you. I can't.
I think it was this one.
Maybe I'm still drunk from the fuck out of here. Drunk. Maybe that's what it is. Allegiances lie, and then basically Roman saves his, like, almost killed himself to save his life. So they tell her. I think this is the one that was that one. Like, both matches were good. I like the one that was actually like faster paced, better.
So that was the Raw match.
Okay, so the Raw match, in my opinion, was better because they went back almost back to back. But this one was also a good match, and like a match that I imagine someone like Chad would really enjoy.
Yeah. Buddy Murphy defeated Cedric Alexander for the WWE Cruiserweight Championship. Around this time, there were stats coming about Alexander. He had gone undefeated for a year, so they had to get rid of that shit.
Oh yeah, and boy, have they gotten rid of that one. Has he? How many matches has he won since? Maybe none.
I think he won a couple on 205 Live because he ended up getting another shot at TLC on the pre-show. But it's been rough.
That man said, "I'm on a winning strike. I'm on a losing streak."
Yes.
So
they did a 6-woman tag.
No, wait. This before we give it, we can go past it. But like, this match was
did wrestle their ass off.
They wrestled their ass off in this match, and the crowd was hot as hell for Murphy to win. And look, the crowd wanted something. They had a great match, and they gave them what they wanted. Bravo.
Good.
Thank you, WWE.
So we had Ronda Rousey and the Bella Twins, who for some reason were hanging out together, and of course the whole time it was to basically lay the groundwork.
I think it was the next Monday.
It was the next Monday. Yeah. Literally, they did the turn, and it was like all of a sudden Ronda Rousey and the Bella Twins are hanging out together. It looks fake. It looks everything. The segments were just eyebrow raising. Let's say that.
Well, are we going to talk about Liv versus Brie?
Oh yeah, we're getting to it. So they were taking on the Riot Squad, of course, and leading up to this match, they had some tag team matches on the pay-per-view.
Oh, they did?
On Monday Night Raw.
Oh, they did.
They did. The Bella Twins were in action against I want to say with Natalya against the Riot Squad, and of course Brie went upside Liv's face with defeat
twice.
She
caught her one of them things and slumped her, and then caught her another one and put her flat on her face.
Of course, internet broke out in histrionics. It was one of the moments of the year just for people to get off bad take after bad take after bad take. And regardless of like what you thought about the situation, someone did get hurt in this situation. Luckily, she was able to recover in time for this match.
And it also felt like we were too busy. We in general were too busy jumping on Brie Bella's head as opposed to worrying about whether or not this poor woman that got kicked in the face twice is okay.
Right. And Brie was at fault. It was like we weren't gonna like let her slide either, but it was like a lot of the situation, like when something controversial happens in wrestling, it almost is less about what actually happens and more of the arguments that people want to have with people that they disagree with. Yeah. So
fun stuff.
Yeah. So Rousey and the Bella Twins dominant. 10 minutes, just a match.
Yeah. Who took the pin? I can't remember.
Who knows?
No idea.
I think Ronda put a double submission on.
That's right.
I think.
That's right. That's right. She swapped both arms across each other and then dropped back. Yeah, that's right. Okay.
So AJ Styles.
That was a great finish. Like it made her look really impressive.
Yeah. AJ Styles and Samoa Joe had a no count out, no disqualification match for the WWE Championship, and this was fucking awesome.
Hey, Rich. How come they didn't start with a lockup?
Yeah, I'm getting right there.
Fuck.
So AJ Styles comes out, top of the stage. He lays the WWE Championship on the ground, tells this motherfucker to come get it, and it's on from there.
It was almost like the beginning of like an anime fight where like you got two people like are far apart, they see each other and it's on site, and then they basically run to action with each other, when it leads to a striking match. Yep. It was like some shit straight out of Dragon Ball Z.
So, shit was great. Yes, like this is their best match.
They beat the hell out of each other. It was awesome.
We nominated this match in our One Nation Radio Awards for, I want to say, main roster match of the year. I will leave a a voting doc in the comments for this podcast. Make sure you get your votes in. We will be taking votes for like another week, and then we'll have that out basically to go into 2019. Yeah, but that match was incredible. This was pretty much the end of the Joe feud as we knew it. Of course, they had more matches after, but...
Okay, so for me, we counted them... we counted the matches they had after that into account. But if they had left off from right at this point, this would have been, the second best feud of the year? Third best feud of the year?
Maybe on the main roster, yeah.
That's what I mean. I'm only talking about the main roster. They delivered all three matches delivered. Joe was incredible on the mic. AJ was a great babyface. And they clearly at this point looked like they hated each other's guts, and like they were swinging for the fences when they were wrestling all three times. This is what
Rollins and Ambrose should be.
This is what I want my wrestling to be.
I want people that hate each other that want to kick the shit out of each other
and have a reason for hating each other.
Yeah.
Right? Or at least if one of them hate each other, other one, the other one's playing mind games. But at least like the mind games aren't, you're going to choke. Fuck out of here.
Then we had 4 preliminary matches pretty much before that. Iconics in their home country getting cheered a lot against Asuka and Naomi, defeating them. And of course we were like, what the hell is... the Iconics won that match.
Well, whatever. Home.
Bobby Lashley and John Cena. John Cena did nothing but stand on the apron, and he showed up with that hair, came out with a dragon punch, and pinned Elias.
Yes, and he cut a retirement promo again.
Yep. And they beat Elias and Kevin Owens. Charlotte and Becky Lynch. They had Becky Lynch basically get out of this match by hitting Charlotte with the belt. I was
so meekly.
I was enjoying the match a lot before that whole thing, and then I was pissed. Of course, I was like, great. They have her doing chicken shit heel tactics.
Yep.
Incredible.
And, hey, we still cheering her.
Yep. It was like, we don't care.
Yeah. When are you going to learn this lesson, old man?
Yes. Yep. And then the New Day defeated Cesaro and Sheamus, retained the titles, blah, blah, blah. Overall, definitely a unique show. Of course, for the environment. Any type of stadium show, I pretty much want to see just for that, except Crown Jewel.
And especially like Undertaker went out there and embarrassed himself. My God.
Oh yeah. What would you in the Super Showdown or Crown Jewel?
I mean, he embarrassed himself in both of these matches, but like pick one. Yeah. Pick a card, any card.
Yeah.
Like he's he just ain't got it no more, and that's fine. Like you're not supposed to have that. You're not supposed to be in your 50s wrestling well anymore. Like I mean, especially given his size and his injuries over the decades.
And then WWE Evolution. A show which ended up being just the peak of creative in WWE this year. And I remember being very negative on the show going into it and thinking, wow, I can't believe Sasha Banks is being disrespected like this. Wow, I can't believe they're putting Nikki Bella in a main event position with against Ronda Rousey. Wow, I can't believe they advertised Alexa Bliss versus Trish Stratus as a big-ass match and not Sasha Banks. Wow, this whole show could be a disaster because they could just cut the Mae Young Classic down and not really let them go. The morning of the show, I decided, you know what? I'm going to watch the show. Because originally, I was going to go to Evolve over in Tampa. I was like, I'm going to watch the show. I'm going to give it a chance. I'm just going to deal with Sasha Banks being disrespected, however, and I'll watch it. And I really liked the show a lot. Pretty much from the moment Trish Stratus' music hit, it was time to rock and roll.
Yeah, and they had, and now we're going to get to it. Trish and Lita versus Mickie James and Alicia Fox. Alexa ended up missing because she had a concussion at the time, or was it the elbow shoulder deal?
Alexa had the concussion.
Okay. So they went out there and they had a fun little match, and everybody got their. It was like a fun nostalgia opening card match, and like it was fun, and you know like Lita hit the best moonsault I've seen from her in years, right? As if she's been practicing. So yes. Yeah, so you know I enjoyed the match. I don't know. I know what you thought. What your thoughts on it were, but like I. Really
it was a professional wrestling match with like two legends that we all or. You know, folk names out the past that everyone's always liked
and happy to see,
and they still look good. So I was definitely happy to see Trish.
Moving on, we have the 20-woman battle royal for the number one for a number one contendership on either brand, and you know they pulled out a lot of stops in this. Like they treated this like the best 20-person battle royal that I can think of as far as people being in the ring all together, not a rumble, but actually in together and like being able to tell stories that you could see without like all of the muck of all these people are in the corners, fake trying to throw people out while people trying to hold on to fake not get thrown out. And, you know, we ended up in like, we got a part where like, I thought it was interesting that, you know, we got the Ember chance and there people really wanted Ember to win. It's kind of similar to
she was over.
It's kind of similar to like the Asuka thing, like right before Survivor Series. It's kind of
they also had no clue about Ember and Asuka, like on the main roster. Like they didn't even
right. But I'm just saying, like I thought it was interesting. Well, they did notice it at Royal Rumble this year, but whatever. So I thought it was cool that like Ember got her little moment, but she got her moment, and like if they had went with her as a contender to Ronda eventually, like. They can look back and say, like, if they kept that in mind, they can always go back to because, like, if we give Ember a little bit of a push, like, she could, you know, become a quick contender for Ronda because, you know, she's tomato canning everyone. But yeah, you know, it must be noted that like Nia won. People were happy that Nia won because she was still a babyface, and they did the quick turn thing for. The Rousey thing, they quickly about face on that, and she had been face most of the year. But she almost got two injuries in one stone with that throw on Tamina, where she throws basically Zelina's knees into Tamina's face, almost breaks her fucking nose, and then in the process of almost breaking her fucking nose, Zelina goes out there and eats the floor. So like woo.
She was concussed also.
That's what I mean by the floor. Like, her head hit the floor. Yeah. So, I just laughed at someone being concussed. Yeah. Wow, terrible person. So yeah, like, you know.
Ivory lasted a long time in the match.
And she looked pretty good.
What was her name?
They got Alundra Blaze right out of there immediately.
Yep, she was not here to take no bumps or nothing like that. Like, it was just good to see her. Yep. Who else was in the match? I remember that it was really fun.
It's almost like Alundra Blaze showed up just to show that she had a 2018 version of the old gear.
Yep.
I'm just here to show you what it will look. I'm just here to show you what it will look like nowadays. But I'm out of here. Thanks.
Holla.
Yeah.
After that, we had the Mae Young Classic final. Toni Storm defeating Io Shirai. Of course, in a little bit over 10 minutes. Crowd, I didn't know if they knew what they were seeing, but they were seeing some good wrestling.
Yes, like if that had happened in front of the Mae Young Classic crowd, they would have lost their shit. Like it was a great match,
and they would have got more than 10 minutes.
Yes, they would have got more than 10 minutes. But I thought this was the best worked match on the whole card. I felt like it could have used another 3 to 5 minutes, but I still got a good ass match out of it. So,
Yep. After that, we had the 6-woman tag with Sasha, Bayley, and Natalya against the Riot Squad. Of course, Sasha with the insane gear.
Yes.
Just some of the best I've ever seen.
Now, we all went to this match thinking like, oh, this will be a normal ass Raw tag match. It'll get out of there. And then they kept going, and they kept doing stuff. And it's like, yo, this match is pretty damn good. Like, I thought this was gonna be a boom, boom, bam, we out of here, baby. And no, they actually sold for heat. They had, they're breaking up finishers. I thought this was one of the better pleasant surprises of the night.
Yeah, and they were treating them like, Sasha Bayley and Natalya as pioneers of this whole thing.
Which they are.
And it was like, for me, it was kind of like, oh, this is a backhanded compliment.
Which it is.
Like, meanwhile, these women, like 2 of the 3 of them are still in their prime. And you could be using them a lot better.
Yes. And that's why I need to get them. Fuck away from Raw.
Yes. After that, we have Shayna Baszler and Kairi Sane for the NXT Women's Championship. Kairi losing her championship by technical submission after the appearance of Jessamine Duke and Marina Shafir. Their first real appearance, forming their stable officially on screen in kayfabe. And this was another one of the Shayna Baszler Kairi Sane matches where it's not going to break the star scale, but what it's going to do is be a really good babyface fighting a person that really knows how to be a heel, and they have tremendous chemistry, and they can do whatever they want in the ring because Kairi's just so good as a wrestler. All Shayna has to do is be there. And Shayna's talented in her own right there.
I think the main thing that about this match and also their NXT match after this is that these two matches have been so good because to an extent they both basically kind of been like sprints because they've been short. Their times have been shrunk down. So instead of like the first match they had at Brooklyn 4, they're doing this and they're trying to fit. It's pretty much fitting the whole entire match they had into a shorter time. So they're just like gigantic pick me ups on the card. It's like, they're wrestling so hard and so fast and so well that it's like you can't even quote unquote be a letdown for even if you don't necessarily know them because they're on NXT as opposed to on the main card and people that are there for Ronda or Nikki or whoever else. Yeah. So I love this match. And by that point in time I was like, yo, this is like the best pay-per-view. I don't know how long by the time we got through with this match.
And then after that, we had the last woman standing, which was a classic.
Yes.
Becky Lynch and Charlotte having the greatest match in the history of, in WWE Women's Wrestling and arguably the match of the year in WWE.
For me, it's my match of the year.
And
in the main roster.
It's like this crowd was not coming to see Becky Lynch lose this title. They were coming to see her beat the shit out of Charlotte Flair. Yes. And to literally leave her on the ground so she couldn't get up.
Yes.
And that's what happened.
And for me, this was... I'll get to the Becky stuff in a second, but for me, this is why I always say, when people talk about Charlotte's overpush and whatever stuff, I always have to say, look, you can say whatever you want to, but at the end of the day, you better damn well say that Charlotte is awesome or some type of positive descriptor for her along the way of you talking about how much you don't like her, or she's bland, or she has a personality, or she's annoying, or she's condescending, or whatever else. Because that woman killed herself to get that match over, and most importantly, to get her damn friend over. And Congratulate, mission accomplished. This match was awesome. She was out there getting herself killed and beat with kendo sticks and getting walloped with the leg drop, which is even the next one, the one that happened at TLC is even worse. But like they did everything. They did everything that they needed to do to go out there and just kill it. And
I heard.
I love that match. And like remember they did this. I remember the spot that I really loved was that Becky had been beating the piss out of her for months now at this point. I'm sorry, for 10 weeks. 10 weeks specifically. And she buries her underneath all that shit by the announce table. Buried under the chairs and
Charlotte rolls the fuck up.
And then she rolls out out of all that shit like goddamn Godzilla. And Becky's like shook, like, oh no, Charlotte's coming. And Charlotte was so pissed. Yeah, that was a great moment.
Yeah.
This is great.
I had heard someone theorize, like, maybe, like, the key to unlocking Charlotte was just start having her in these, like, no-rules matches. Like, where she just can use weapons and be violent and all this stuff, where it doesn't have to look all pretty and everything like that.
But the thing for me is, like, I guess there may be something to that, maybe. But Charlotte has so many just straight standard matches that are like, you give 4 stars to or whatever else that, like, I can't say that. Mm-hmm. They're like, oh yeah, well, like maybe, but like yeah, like sure. But if I give AJ Styles like fucking a kendo stick and a bunch of other shit, his match is gonna also be better too. Like that's. But what I will say is like what I really do appreciate is after all of this shit about whether or not Becky's over enough or they're actually really pushing her or is she a heel or is she a baby face. Look, I ain't like Uptown. Like, don't be concerned about all that outdated shit right now. Like, don't worry about that right now. Prince Uptown. Like, we're talking about the sexuality. Like, look, we don't concern ourselves with those sort of things around where I'm from. Like, we don't even concern ourselves about that. So, they get to the end, and she's about to, I don't know what the hell Charlotte was trying to do on the top rope or whatever else, but Becky catches her and power bombs her ass through that table. And I was like, and then she beats her.
It's cathartic.
And it was like, yes, they gave us they gave us the finish that everybody in that arena wanted, or almost damn near everybody in that arena wanted. Everyone that was watching wanted, and it flat out like that was a specific date when you say in WWE history or in Becky's like running with this company going forward. Like that was the moment where she was completely legitimized. Regardless of it doesn't matter if she was the first SmackDown Women's Champion. It doesn't matter if she was already champion coming in. She walked down. She beat this woman 2 times in a row, and she just flat out beat her. It wasn't she snuck her.
She beat her in a feud.
She beat her. She won the feud. She beat her. She whooped her ass throughout the whole thing. This was a one-sided feud, and now this is where we are now.
Yeah,
and
it was the right decision.
It was an absolute right decision. And I'm just, and at this point on the show I'm watching this, I was like, boy, I was on cloud 29. I was like, yo, this is awesome. This is awesome. Yep. Like,
and it was I didn't know this show was like babyface, all these babyface victories, except Shayna. Of course, Becky was still a heel, but everyone wanted to see Becky win.
Yes, and if you notice, when we get to TLC, sorry, we get to TLC. They kind of had a similar format where it's like, look, unless there's a good reason for the heel to win, because we're building somebody, which is fine. Like we're trying to get somebody to the next level. Unless there's a reason for that, the babyface is going over. And that seems to be a nice little recipe for not like just being exhausted or burnt out from heat from and being numb to it and desensitized and wondering why you're watching.
They didn't try to get cute at Evolution at all.
Nope.
And that goes to the main event. Ronda Rousey defending the Raw Women's Championship against Nikki. We did have our issues with the feud and the route they took to get there with the whole DNB stuff and just like
slut shaming.
Yeah, it was just like the lowest of the low brow.
Slut shaming somebody for a relationship.
Yeah,
not for actually being that, but for
someone she was like.
Yes.
engaged to. So,
yes, yeah. Let me tell you about you and your monogamous relationship, you asshole.
Yeah, so this was like the first crack in the Rousey Foundation where Becky Lynch was able to slip through that whole window, essentially, and expose her in front of the world. But in this match, they had every kind of safe match you could have. They did all the cheating. And then
this was very much a mismatch.
Yeah, this was just a controlled environment match.
Yes,
what I would say. Not bad, not really great or anything, just right in the middle, and
it was respectable.
It was fine. It was fine for the end of the end of the show. Everybody had already saw the main event.
I think yes, and I think the thing about it was that they did what was necessary to be able to get you to, for at least a while, be able to suspend your disbelief that you got Ronda Rousey in the ring with a woman that she would beat the piss out of. And they did it via...
I sense a pattern here.
They did it via the cheating.
I sense a pattern.
No, they did it via the cheating as opposed to them trying to do it the month before with the Alexa
and Mickey
and the injury thing. Did Mickey even get involved?
Oh yeah, she had two people on the ring with her. She had Mickey and Alicia.
Okay. Well, it's also another things like Nikki brings a more athletic and larger,
physical threat.
Yeah, physical threat than Alexa's. Alexa's a pipsqueak. Like, if I've always felt like this. When they went back to the Becky Lynch thing with Alexa, it was like, say you don't have the look of a champion. It's like, in Vince McMahon's muscle factory, like, you think all of 5 foot nothing would be considered that, like, if you were a different gender, you probably wouldn't have got hired. Or you would have been on 205 Live, for example, and you're talking about Lashley. So, no, you don't even got a time of day, whatever. So, go ahead. Sorry, I got onto a tangent, but go ahead.
Yeah, but overall, WWE Evolution was just a smashing success. It was them learning how to, send a crowd home happy again, I think.
Yes,
and
for the first time in God knows how long.
And it was a long overdue thing. And, of course, it was on the same week as Crown Jewel.
Oh, well, hold on. It must be noted that one of my favorite things, and I don't give a damn what none of y'all say, kiss my black ass. When she wins, and then she runs up to the rest of the women that are by the entrance ramp, and they're celebrating as the show goes off. I loved it. It made me so goddamn happy to see, like, I watched all of this. I watched this show. I see all of these people from past, present, and future come out here and basically it basically just like it just entertained the hell out of me for 3 hours, and do good jobs wrestling and showcasing some of the people that you didn't see. Like, you see people in the background like Bianca Belair, and you just like get optimistic for the future. You just like. And that was the beginning of the trend. That was the beginning of the trend for me. And you also, you coined the term after Evolution, fire them in, right? And at first I was like, look, I love Evolution. I think at this point it was the best pay-per-view of the year for me. But like I thought it was. I think it's cute and funny that you say that. And then we get to the end of the year, you kind of like. You might be on something, Rich. You might be like imagine like Hulk Hogan rubbing the Fu Manchu.
Yes.
Like, you might be on to something, brother.
Yeah. I see the money train. Might have to hop on.
Yes.
But up next is from the highs of Crown Jewel, or the highs of Evolution to the lows of WWE Crown Jewel.
Oh God.
I didn't watch this show. I refuse to watch it.
Do you have the card up so I can
do.
power run through this?
I do.
Okay.
So,
the very first match is the Nakamura versus Rusev match. It was a fine match. It wasn't as good as the match they had earlier in the year on pay-per-view, but like it was fine. So Ray versus Orton. They do a quick little match. Ray rolls him up. Orton flips his lid, and then he gives him a post-match beat down and hurts his ribs. It was an okay match. Miz versus Jeff Hardy. Miz won. Seth versus Bobby Lashley. Seth won.
Is that when you realize Lashley just like is a zero?
There's nothing there. Exactly. So then you get Dolph versus Kurt, and they were Ziggler gave him enough. But you think that like Kurt Angle would have won, but they decided not to do that because reasons. And especially after he's doing these promos saying like, I'm in training, I'm gonna be best world. And then you see him like what he looks like now, and he's like, dude, he's been busting his ass to get to this to look like that again. And just beat him. Just beat him. Just makes no sense. So then from there you get the bar match with the Bar versus New Day, and that match is okay. Actually, that match was just a good match, but it's just a good match, and you've seen them have a few really good or great matches before, so you kind of like whatever. So then you get to Miz versus Mysterio, and I really enjoyed this match. I think they've had a couple of matches that have been really good since Reyes came back to WWE.
I like the one they had on TV on SmackDown.
Yes, and that finish, and that's interesting because that finishes sequence plays off of what they did at this match, where Rey is fighting from underneath because of the ribs, obviously,
and also because he's Rey Mysterio in WWE, and all that they do is book him as an underdog.
Correct. So then he gets the advantage, and he has Miz reeling on the ropes, and then he's going to go and he gets to 619. He goes to drop the dime, and then Miz actually gets the knees up, and then goes to schoolboys from there, and a schoolboy roll, and gets the pin and gets out of there. So I thought it was a cool match.
Oh my god, another Dolph Ziggler Seth Rollins match.
Yeah. So they have their match. It's just like every other match you've seen, except this time, if I remember correctly. So at this point, keep in mind, Drew did not interfere in the first match with Angle. Comes out again this time, and then either he was going to interfere in this one or he didn't interfere, and the ref saw him and threw him out. Even though he didn't interfere in the first one. Go figure. So, I'm fuzzy on what happened at the end, but like I think maybe Drew came back. I'm not sure. Either way, Ziggler won, and it was an okay match, or maybe even a good match, but it damn sure wasn't great. So we can move on from there. So then we end up getting is it AJ match next?
Yep.
Yeah. You're getting AJ versus Joe. This was like the Daniel Bryan Miz super showdown version of this feud, where it's like they have wrestled before. It's been good. It's been one of the better things of the year, and then like we decided to wrap it up by just like getting him the fuck out of there super quick. He tapped him out immediately. Like I think the story was that he was still selling his leg injury from Super Showdown. And then, that's the reason why he ended up not qualifying against Jeff Hardy or on SmackDown in the week. And then he's getting another title shot. And then he just slaps on the calf crusher and gets him out of here. Like, I don't know how long that match even went. Like, it may have did that match even go 10 minutes?
11 minutes.
Okay, 11. It didn't even feel that long. So, then we get Brock Lesnar versus Braun Strowman for the WWE Universal Championship. And they do what they continue to do with this Universal title, which is make you not give a flying fuck about it or its champion.
Just the whole history of the belt, just terrible.
I'm going to give you... You remember how I told you what they did?
Yes.
Okay, so I still remember it because it was ridiculous. Okay, so they all come down. Corbin comes out first. I can't remember. When Corbin's out there, Corbin holds up the title. Holds it up like the ref will hold it up. So then he still is holding on to it, and the bell either has or hasn't rang. Can't remember. I'm pretty sure it hasn't rang yet. He ends up immediately behind Strowman while Strowman is staring face to Lesnar. Next thing you know, Corbin ends up ramming it against the back of Strowman's head. Match starts. F5. Kick out. F5. Kick out. F5. Kick out. I think Lesnar takes his gloves off. Can't remember or not. Either way, he F5s him out of the ring, over the top rope, to the fucking floor. Now, this is a guy that you look at him walk, and he looks like his groin could tear at any moment.
Damn.
Strowman, right?
Yeah.
And at this point in time, we heard about him having some issues with his knees right now, at that point in time. And what's he do? He basically falls from... He basically falls
10 feet.
From 9
feet,
9 feet to 8, 9, 10 feet onto the floor on the mat. Crawls back, beats the 10 count. F5. Kick out. Picks him up for another F5. He scrambles out, throws up a big boot, ends up in a corner, goes to charge, picked up for F5, pinned.
Horrible. Absolutely.
That sounds so horrible. And the story is supposed to be about this dastardly Baron Corbin, and his belt shot in the back of the head is why he couldn't get out the gates. That's all they could muster was that.
Not Braun Strowman looking strong.
Nope.
Not him just getting Brock Lesnar the fuck out of here.
Nope.
None of that.
He landed one strike for offense against him in that match. Anyway, moving on. That match should go to hell. So, then we get the finals of the the Crown Jewel World Cup. Or the WWE World Cup to determine the best in the world. So... Dolph and Miz, I believe they may have started the match or whatever. They end up outside, and Miz ends up quote unquote blowing out his knee. Miz makes a statement talking about, which is reminiscent of actually invokes the promo against Daniel Bryan. He says, "I'm never injured. I'm never injured. I can fight through this. I can fight through this." He gets carted off. The build of this thing was that this fucking guy, Shane, threatened the 4 participants on SmackDown by saying that
he'll fire
your job is in jeopardy if you don't bring home this World Cup, even though that would mean that even though these tournaments are segregated to get until the finals. So that means that literally the best person on SmackDown that you picked would be the one you would fire, you fucking dumbass. Yes. So, never mind that, right? Not these other 3 losers that couldn't get the job done to even give you a better shot, allegedly. So, Miz ends up having to pull out, so you think, okay, so I guess that means they're awarding it to Dolph. Of course not. This is all about Shane McMahon. So, Shane takes off the whatever he was wearing, and then he decides to start potatoing on Dolph Ziggler. He lands coast to coast, and he wins. He is now the best in the world. The whole entire tournament was a fucking ruse and a scam for I don't even know if it's because he's still a fucking babyface. They dropped the angle. This was the ultimate. Okay, let's say they did drop the angle on TV. Do I know that if I'm just watching the TV? Do I know that it's an angle that this was an angle that got dropped, or I just think this is bad fucking television writing or storytelling?
I mean, yeah.
Okay, thank you. So he's your champion. He's losing his mind. The crowd's happy for him because just Shane McMahon. He was the star 20 years ago. So moving on, we get.
Speaking of that,
yeah, the Attitude Era. Moving on, so we get Generation X. Shawn Michaels and Triple H, the Bald Boys. So
Damn.
So versus the taller Bald Boys between Kane and the Undertaker. So they proceed to go out there and wrestle forever and ever, and it doesn't stop. It is not good.
My God, 27
minutes.
And
it's not good. And probably like the first about a third into the match, Triple H ruptures or rips it or tears his pec, so he's out the match. So Shawn has to go out going alone. Shawn looks pretty good, but he's wrestling stiffs. So he proceeds to go out there and wrestle pretty well. Then Shawn at one point goes for a moonsault from the top rope.
I've seen it give
from the top rope to the floor. And neither one of the Brothers of Destruction decides to fucking catch him. Correct me if I'm wrong, Rich. Isn't one of the greatest wrestling finishes of all time? Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 25 going to the top rope to land a moonsault on the Undertaker. Undertaker catches him and then gives him a tombstone for the best match that I've ever seen in my life at that point. Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't that not happen?
That was the finish at WrestleMania 25, James.
Okay, so this fucking guy, Shawn, is lucky to be alive right now because he's too goddamn. I shit you not. He landed on his head on the floor. If not for the fact that his body bopped into one of them, to take enough energy off of his fall, he would have landed right on his neck after that fall. He could have landed right on his neck and been just a quadriplegic. No, nothing. He'd been in a chair.
Damn.
So there's someone wrestling in the match.
Sounds terrible.
There's someone wrestling in the match, and at a certain point, I think Shawn's on top rope, and Kane's trying to get him down, and then Shawn throws a fucking punch. And this motherfucker's Kane's mask and wig comes off. And this was the ultimate...
This match drifting into self-parody territory.
This is like, yo, this is Botchamania. This is wrestle crap. This is minus 5-star talk. This is just bad. This is embarrassing. There's another spot where while Shawn was going at it and trying to buy Hunter some time, Triple H, I'm sure has told Undertaker or whoever else that one of these pecs is torn. So Undertaker decides that what he's going to do is he went through the table, what would be the special announce table, the table that's furthest from the card cam. So he picks him up, he lifts him up, and Undertaker goes to whip Triple H into the barricade that's closest towards the hard camera. And it looked like neither one of them knew what they were going to do and what was going to happen. So one was going to either whip one, or one was going to reverse, or Triple H was going to reverse the whip, and one was going to the barricade. Problem is, Undertaker has the arm that is useless now. So instead of one of them getting whipped into it, they both go whip. They both run it. They both literally holding hands. Basically, may as well have skipped into the damn barricade and then fell in sold it.
I saw a clip of that as well.
And then
it just looked like they were hitting a dance move essentially.
I don't even remember the finish of the match. Fuck this match. This is my childhood fucking died. Shawn and Undertaker, my two favorite wrestlers of all time. This was fucking embarrassing. I don't maybe Shawn if he wrestled somebody else and it would look a lot better because he actually looked like he could still do some things. But these other three guys, or especially Kane and Undertaker, y'all done. Don't do this no more.
Cooked.
It's Angle probably now was y'all are embarrassed. Angle's probably y'all are embarrassed yourselves, and all I can do is German suplexes right now.
Damn. Crown Jewel. I refuse to watch this show.
Crown Jewel can go to hell.
The Saudi Arabia stuff disgusted me. The death of the journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Obviously, no women's wrestlers on the show still.
Undertaker promos with Kane inside a fucking cemetery.
Yes, right after this thing happens. Just literally a horribly disgusting promotional tactic by WWE. It probably will win most disgusting promotional tactic in the Observer Awards.
Yeah, and this is also a year where they tried to use for a mid-card feud. They tried to use Roman Reigns' fucking blood cancer. God damn. That's the year That's what this year is. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, this is the idea of this sucked, and then they didn't tell us where it was at. Oh, and then they brought back fucking Hogan in this.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I'm glad I skipped this show.
Yeah.
The next time we were on pay-per-view was Survivor Series, a remarkably better effort from the World Wrestling Entertainment promotion. Big switches at the last minute. Daniel Bryan versus versus Brock Lesnar was announced.
Big switch at the last minute. You mean like 5 days after the show?
Yes. Of course, we were supposed to get Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch, but she got her face, quote unquote.
And it must be mentioned, we were going to get Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey in the main event.
Yep. So the hottest thing that was going on, Becky Lynch was just tearing her up, promo after promo, all on Twitter, just making Ronda just look like a novice.
And on camera, and backstage, and also in the extra videos or whatever else. Like, she was incredible. And also a moment of the year contender from the main roster was Becky invading Raw.
Yep.
Becky invading Raw. Like, the other SmackDown women
were there.
But this was very much Gladys and the Pimps, David Ruffin and the Temptations. Like,
look, I ain't heard none of their music. I heard Becky's music.
Yes.
She had the respect from the Raw team to play her music when she walked out.
Yes. Look, you better play her music. You saw what she did to Ronda.
Yeah. So I would talk about the pre-show match, but they told us it didn't count.
Don't count.
So this whole show was Monday Night Raw dominating SmackDown Live. And
which is hilarious.
Yes, which is absolutely hilarious. If you followed all our shows here on Lords of Pain, as well as, you'll hear us on Social Suplex, you'll just document how SmackDown has kicked the ass of Raw. And we're not doing any more TV reviews this year. We've just got specialty shows lined up. And this was a 14-3 advantage for SmackDown.
By that point in time, yeah.
Like the last show that we've done.
So, if I remember correctly, was on the Monday. Actually, no, I'm just wrong on that. I take that back. I take back what I was going to say. Never mind.
So we had Team Raw in the women's match: Mickie James, Nia Jax, Tamina, Bayley, and Sasha defeating Team SmackDown of Naomi, Carmella, Sonya, Asuka, and Mandy Rose. Nia Jax was the last person standing, and
who came out to hella boos.
Lots of boos. This was fresh after she broke Becky Lynch's face.
And fresh
this is probably the zenith of it.
Yeah, and absolutely. There's been diminishing returns ever since. And there's absolutely the there's also like in the middle of her like going on Twitter to use it for heat.
Yeah.
To talk about what about my arm or what about my hand? It's
yeah.
Like, oh, you mean that goofy fucking hand that broke this woman's nose when you weren't supposed to do that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
Cool.
So this was this was they had to put Nia Jax over just to make her look strong, I guess.
Okay. We're gonna talk about this. So they give Asuka shine because Asuka actually on the Tuesday show before this one, Becky had to pick a contender, and she walked up and went face to face with every single woman in the division. The loudest pop, it wasn't for Charlotte Flair, it wasn't for Naomi. Those were the other two that got noticeable pops. It was for Asuka. People just completely said, "I'll be damned with the whole Carmella bullshit you did to her and how you tried to ruin her career from us. We still want Asuka. We still want the Empress of Tomorrow, whatever the fuck that means, but we still want it, right?" So, so because of that, it felt like they listened to the crowd and they gave her some victories, and she looked impressive. It was reminiscent of the dominant run she had in last year's women's 5-on-5 traditional Survivor Series match. The problem is she was so outnumbered with bodies. By the time she got to the final two, it's like, okay, so they did the whole. They got to the end, and she went through 2 or 3 people. I can't remember.
So Nia Jax turns on Sasha Banks.
That's but how many people?
Which is never fucking explained, by the way. Ever.
Well, the explanation is she's evil. That you know this explanation. The same thing when he like, okay, so why is this heel man at GM booking such a shitty show? And the answer is because she's evil.
Yeah. After that, we had Seth Rollins and Shinsuke Nakamura, champion versus champion. Excuse me, mid-card champion versus mid-card champion.
Correct.
And they had a match.
They were having a match, and then all of a sudden, like, the finishing sequence reminded me of, like, the finishing sequence is what I wanted out of, like, the end of WrestleMania's Nakamura and AJ match. If they had that kind of ending, that towards the end, I would have been like, okay, that's a 4-star match. Great match. Congratulations. It's still underwhelming, but I still got a great match.
So this was like that 3.5, 3.75 special.
The end, yes, but it was better than the normal, like the Falcon Arrow, and then we start trading big moves. It was like counters in and out of stuff at a fast pace, and then I was like teasing the curb stomp, getting out of curb stomps, teasing the danger of the knees. It's like I really enjoyed the end of this match. The beginning of the match, no.
We're sensing a pattern here, folks.
Yeah.
The tag team match, this featured Drake Maverick pissing
himself.
I'm just going to skip this.
Thank you.
Buddy Murphy and Mustafa Ali had a hell of a match. And this is pretty much Mustafa's last real appearance in the Cruiserweight division. And he was free.
That boy done graduated.
Yes.
I'm so happy.
Don't it feel good to have him free?
And
that one, it was about a 4-star match. And those guys are wrestling
Hey, you know that SmackDown Ice is colder, right? Look, the ice on SmackDown is even colder. Like, yes, I'm normally there on Tuesday nights, but for some reason, this SmackDown ice on the main roster is just colder. It's just colder. Like this water is refreshing, boy. Like,
so
I never has Fiji tasted so good.
Yes. So Buddy Murphy goes over. Very good match. Survivor Series match with the men. We have Ziggler, McIntyre, Corbin, Balor, and Lashley against Miz, Shane, Ray, Samoa Joe, and Jeff Hardy. Samoa Joe was beaten in 10 seconds, and from there, SmackDown doesn't look like they have a soul that can stand up as a tough guy or anything, and they just got fucking mowed through.
Because AJ Styles and Randy Orton are both home.
Yep. Home, doing nothing.
Sideline.
Yes.
Two WWE Hall of Famers, and still mid card to top draws in the company. Sidelined.
Yeah. And I believe it was McIntyre, Strowman, and Lashley that were left standing at the end.
Yes, they were the final three. Because they started getting one of the worst factions of all time put together. They were trying to get that arranged.
I feel like they could have done so much more with this as far as who they could have picked for the teams. Could have used Andrade Cien Almas. You could have used
AJ Styles, Randy Orton.
AJ and Randy Orton. I feel like on Raw they could have used other people too, but Dean Ambrose or something like that.
Well, they didn't do the Dean thing because they were trying to save the heat for later with AJ for Seth Rollins.
Yeah, which
is in retrospect fucking hilarious.
Yep,
and sad.
Fucking hilarious.
Because by this point in time, if I remember correctly, they had already started doing the. He's purposely not giving you a reason for why he turned heel to
throw you off.
No, they want the heat to be that he didn't tell us, which is okay, yes, that is heat. However, we have no story, so why the fuck should we care? You fucking idiots.
So we have Ronda and Charlotte, and they go to a DQ when Charlotte starts wailing on Ronda with the kendo sticks.
Yes, and before then it was a physical, intense struggle of a match, and I mean that in a good way. It wasn't we're trading moves, and there was obvious cooperation. These two women literally were out here in a struggle.
They're gonna go for it
to battle for ground and leverage, and I loved it. I loved this match.
Yep, and then Charlotte beats the shit out of Ronda after the match. She takes these real kendo stick shots. Crowd ends up booing Ronda after and cheering for Charlotte just to whoop that ass, and they give her the nah, hey, goodbye chance on the way out of the building. Ronda just looks like she wants to murder everyone in the crowd with her bare hands. She's not really taking well to being rejected.
She tells a man that, if I remember correctly, says something completely benign to her, and she looks at him and says, "You're not a man."
Yeah.
And I remember, I can go back and watch it. I don't remember what he said specifically, but I do remember being wow. He said something like the equivalent of "you suck" or "you go home, Ronda," and she turns up and says, "You are not a man." It's whoo.
Yeah.
That has to suck, because if someone like Ronda Rousey says you're not a man, you ain't no man. Give me your card. Give me your ring. You ain't no man. Give me this.
Yeah.
You're genderless. You're genderless. You're gone.
What you gonna do about it?
Yeah. You're gonna hold the barricade and have Ronda beat the piss out of you and show you how much of a man you ain't, just like she said. So anyway, Yeah, so we gotta talk about it. The penalization is fucking stupid. It's one of the things that pissed me off more than anything in this goddamn year.
That's right. Ronda Rousey
gets the hell beat out of her. She took one of the biggest, baddest beatings I've seen in a long time in WWE, and like this beating was worse than like the way that Randy Orton beat the hell out of Jeff Hardy on that one SmackDown, and just keeps hitting her, and she's bleeding out of her ears, she's bleeding out of her arms, welts, scar, and then she gets a chair and Pillmanizes her.
On her neck.
Around her neck. Puts a chair around her neck and head and then Pillmanizes, stomps on it. And does she get carted off? No. Does she get assistance walking out of the arena? No. She tells these medical geeks to get the fuck away from her, and then she slowly walks off. And I was just like, have y'all forgotten how the fuck to do this thing? Like,
and then the next night she shows up with that real champion promo and ready to wrestle, and it's just like, then why'd you even do this?
And I don't know which one happened first. On the next night on Raw, what happened second? But on that same show where she literally 24 hours 24-hour no-sells, a Pillmanization and a kendo stick beat down, Braun Strowman gets taken off TV because he had the still step thrown into his arm. We ain't seen him since. Why should I believe any fucking thing they do? If I remember correctly, the next day after that is when Randy Orton Pillmanizes Ray, and Ray is gone for like a week or two. He sells it, she doesn't.
And like, all y'all doing is coming out here and exposing the business. Like, that's...
And my thing is like, okay, I don't even, like, yes, you're valid. It is exposing the business. My thing is, you can't run all these things so close to each other, back to back to back to back.
And we're not going to notice.
One thing we notice, and also notice that all these things have different results for different people or whatever else. And also, like, it makes the other stuff look and like when one person sells something for this long, it makes the other thing look like fucking ridiculous. And like somebody,
like your simple lie leads to a big lie. Like,
I just like, yo, this bothered me more than anything else. Like, and also, then from that point forward, weeks later, Nia tells us that she's going to beat up Ronda because she's still hurting from this beatdown that she no-sold weeks ago.
Yep.
And she made her look stupid, so then she can't even come out there and say it the next week. Just, and it's like, that kills her because they already had their feud. Ronda had a visual pin or visual tap out. She was about to put her in the armbar until Alexa came out. So, the only saving grace that Nia really has is that, one, I am the face breaker now, and two, Ronda is in danger because she's still hurting and she wants to defend her title.
So ultimately, you weaken that program.
So you weaken that too. You fucked everything up for no goddamn reason.
Yeah. And the person that ends up cheered here was Charlotte. So then we got Brock Lesnar and Daniel Bryan, which turned out to be a hell of a match.
Yes.
I was on my feet. I was thinking Daniel Bryan did the impossible. I was looking at the first 8 minutes of this match like, oh my god, I think Brock Lesnar killed him on that first suplex.
Yep, that one too.
And then I was like, hold on, they're doing something. So I didn't freak out. And of course, you had all the bad takes on Twitter. Just people just like, oh, whatever. I won't get into it here. But then halfway through the match, it turns around. And
how does it turn around, though?
And so Brock Lesnar leans over after, whatever happens. Daniel Bryan kicks him in the face a couple times, and then he's just rocked, and he starts selling for Daniel Bryan. And when Brock sells, it's awesome.
No, I think you're missing the real spot.
The nut shot.
He has him up for F5 after beating the piss out.
Oh
of him.
yeah, that's right.
He's fucking done and dead to rights, and this fucking ref is clearly too close, and you see it, and you're just like, okay, that's what's gonna happen. So. He gets F5'd into the ref. The ref takes the bump. So Bryan stays on his feet. Immediately sees the refs down, and then goes to the new signature move, the dick kick.
Yeah.
So Brock Lesnar and his balls, who was always on assault with Undertaker 2015, are now back on
back on the radar
market. Yeah, back on the radar. His Dick kicks him, and then he goes on a flurry of offense and near falls and submission submission attempts. And the match was great. The match was great. My problem is with the match that I just can't get over is like it's the same exact match as the AJ match from a year ago. Except they made AJ look more like a credible threat because he didn't get lucky by the fact that this stupid ref was in the wrong position.
Yeah, I didn't look at it like that because
it's still a great match, one of the best matches of the year. Just for me, I'm just like it's the same fucking match as last year with AJ. Like it's swap out sub 6 foot great wrestler.
Yeah,
that Vince trusts and likes. That's like literally like swap him out.
So I thought Daniel Bryan stole one when he hit the yes, and I thought he stole one.
I didn't believe for a second because I was still doing the same thing. Like this is just like the AJ match, so of course he's gonna. That's I'm getting it like they would be almost beat by beat the same way, but it's still a great match because it's a timeless match of David versus Goliath. All David needs is a chance, and if he has enough heart, he can make it happen.
And everyone in the building wanted
even though he's a heel right now.
Even though they just fucked everything up.
He's a heel. He's a heel, but look. People always talk about like heel versus heel matches don't work. I just saw a heel versus heel match like blow the roof off. So I don't know what you're talking about. I want to hear it. Like all you gotta do is babyface one of these heels for one night and have that person be the person that works underneath, and it'll work.
Yeah. But yeah, Survivor Series overall, step in the right direction on pay-per-view. We got at least 3 matches that I watch again.
Yes.
Maybe 4 if you put Nakamura and Rollins if you're in the mood, if you want to, sit down and watch a 20-minute match and then be excited by the last half of it. So, yeah, man. So after that, we got TLC, which was the most recent show. We obviously did a review for that recently, so won't go into too much detail here, but of course we got the 2 big matches with Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles for the WWE Championship. Finally, AJ Styles reaches that level that we thought, that he should have been on pretty much all year with all the opponents that he had.
Yeah, clean finish.
And all it took was, clean finish for him to lose the belt. And then finally get to do a clean finish. And Daniel Bryan showing that, I'm just as great as I always was. I rolled out of bed, created a new character on the fly because this company obviously doesn't know what they're doing. So I'm going to take the reins on this shit.
Like, if you don't want to make me interesting, I'll make myself interesting. How about that?
Right. Asuka winning the 3-way match and winning the SmackDown Women's Championship. I still don't know how I feel about Becky losing the title because I remember picking Becky to win.
I think it all comes down to like what are we going to get out in the aftermath because
it's still ongoing.
Because if it turns into
anything that's not Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey,
or Becky Lynch, Ronda, and Charlotte,
and even that is just like. This isn't what we wanted to see. This is what the WWE wants to see.
Look, they have been pushing Charlotte down, or they've been over pushing Charlotte for literally 3 years.
So Charlotte will be in another match. We'll be right back to square one. She'll be back in another match she ain't supposed to be in, or people that want to see her in.
Who, Charlotte?
Yeah.
What match was she in that you people? Oh, it's
at SummerSlam.
Yeah, but I mean, whatever. Like, is their first ever? We all think this is going to be the first ever women's main event of WrestleMania. Like, this is the most pushed woman they probably have ever had. And she's also awesome. So it's like I'd rather see it just be Becky versus Charlotte, Becky versus Ronda, but. That's a hell of a consolation prize. Like, I'll still be happy to see those 3 go at it because, like, I just saw them just tear the roof off with Asuka. And obviously, Ronda's not no Asuka in the ring, at least not yet. But you let them be able to plan this stuff out and have their match. Like, I feel like I'm guaranteed a great main event for WrestleMania if I get either one of those scenarios. So, look, for me, You know when was the last time I knew it was in the bag for the main event of WrestleMania? Just like
WrestleMania 30.
Exactly. That's how long it's been. Like, yeah, I know for a fact. I have all my faith in the world that like they're gonna have a great match, and I'm gonna go. You know, whether I don't get a finish I want or whatever else, I would be like, look, I still know I got a satisfying match or whatever else. It's been a long time since I can say that about a WrestleMania. So whatever.
If they come out here and have Becky in anything but those two matches,
I agree. I'll be pissed. And we're gonna look back and be like, why you even bother taking the belt off her? You could have transitioned and had Ronda just screw Charlotte and just Charlotte alone, and then had Charlotte make the run towards her and call it a day and let and then kept trying to rebuild Asuka along the way, and then you could have done Asuka versus Becky or you wait, or you dumb fucks decided to waste your time by having Nia win the Rumble, and now it's gonna be Nia versus Becky, and then
even that I would have been like, y'all can go to hell, y'all fucked it all up.
That is, look, I'm still not. I wouldn't put it past them. That's still not on the table.
Yeah.
Why? Because they don't. Because
this company doesn't know how to book professional wrestling.
Because they want to. Because that is one of the women that they've pushed, and she has some heat, and they decided like, oh, that's an interesting little story here or there. We'll try this one out.
Yeah.
Even though no one really wants to see that match at all, like
that shit's over.
Yeah, like if you want to do it,
we off that shit.
If you want to do it at Royal Rumble. Don't do it here. Don't do it at WrestleMania.
Yeah, like no, do that in the Rumble, like and
either one.
Like let her throw her ass out.
Whatever altercation or match they have, it needs to be done in the January show and not at the April one.
And of course, Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose.
Oh my fucking god!
Just a disappointing, frustrating. These guys are at weird points in their careers because these guys have already been champion right?
These two dudes have been wrestling on the main roster and around the world for too damn long. They've had high positions in this company for too damn long. They've had too many goddamn good or great matches on pay-per-view and big spots against each other. Too many goddamn times for them to come out there and put out a match like that. Like this is the match. And I said to you, this is a match that I expect them to have when it's 2028. When it's 2028, like I expect them to have a match. Have a match like that just because they can't do what they need to do. This match was a perfectly acceptable match if this is Seth Rollins wrestling somebody he's not a blood feud with.
And you know we're not going to do? We're not going to drop this under the guise of storytelling. Right,
because
storytelling ain't exactly boring. If you want to talk about storytelling, you can watch the match that went on right the fuck before this, and it was fucking excellent. We're not gonna drop,
Or no. Like, how about this? You want to talk about storytelling? How about the match? How about the match happened before the Daniel Bryan Aegis Pop? The Ronda Rousey match was a better told story. Like you had 3 different feuds. Based off of all the different like angles that Dean Ambrose decided to approach this thing with, and all 3 of them led to all 3 of them led to there's heat and intensity behind this. Besides just the first of all of this stuff, and even if it was the first of, you guys have been going at it. He's been beating the piss out of you. He's been talking about Roman Reigns and karma and that bull, and talking about God and that bullshit. You got him talking about the vaccinations and doing the goofy comedy thing, and then talking about how your emotions are going to better you, and you're gonna end up like costing yourself or whatever. I'm going to take this from you or whatever else. And he decided to do that on like after 7 weeks of build. He decided to use that on week 7 on the Go Home show. So, and like literally the whole match became the story about the shit that was thrown in at the end of it, as opposed to what was the 6 weeks before it. And it's like y'all don't know.
They just whiffed.
Y'all got this one wrong, and y'all get more opportunities. I'm almost feel stupid saying this. I'm almost 100% sure that they're gonna have another match, and it's gonna blow this one out the park. So the people that are caping up for this one can just forget that it happened. Is worry about the next match that we get out of them.
Yeah, I don't understand the caping. Like it's just like if they throw a dud, they throw a dud. Like it's
like you don't get the nuanced storytelling. No, I get it. It's just not that compelling.
And apparently the folks in the arena agreed with us, who sat there and just stared at it and chanted, for things other than, the match. That's pretty much going to wrap it up as far as...
But I guess because we haven't talked about the overall theme of the show for this one.
Oh.
This was a great show.
Yeah, it was.
TLC was a great show. It was one of the 3 best pay-per-views of the year.
Yeah.
On the main roster.
Lots of good guys winning, and if the bad guys are winning, they were...
It's for a reason. It's for a damn good reason.
Yeah, like Dan Bryan, you're not going to take the belt off him that fast, and they had a classic. Looking at it, got Corbin the fuck out of here. You got Ruby Riott out of here. They did Balor. McIntyre was all right. Mysterio and Orton. Overall I liked the show. It was an easy watch.
Yes. And they decided to have the 4 biggest matches as far as their build at the end of it, as opposed to sprinkled amongst it. And, except for one match, all of them came through.
Yeah, what do you know? And, of course, we have the politics of Monday Night Raw.
Oh, yeah, that.
Getting to go after the WWE Championship.
Yeah, even though
hot.
Even though that feud had clearly cratered and synced, and fan interest had waned, and you're getting weird crowd reactions, they still decided to put it on in the semi-main for just because. And it's you could argue that it suffered because of it, but you could also if you want to argue that it suffered because of it, it's because that match it wasn't that hot as far as the build. It should have went lower on the card. Yeah.
But yeah, man, that's going to wrap up part 2 of our WWE pay-per-view in review. Of course, part 1 was located over on the Social Suplex Podcast Network, where if you wanted to hear us kill some shit, that was it.
Yeah. So what I would say to people that we talk about our feelings on the first half of the year and this year, the second half of this year, they did a lot of good things on pay-per-view. They still screwed up a few still screwed up main events like SummerSlam and Hell in a Cell, Crown Jewel was still a fucking disaster. But Evolution, Hell in a Cell,
Survivor Series,
TLC, and part of SummerSlam were just those were shows that I would give a thumb up to or 2 thumbs up to.
I think you're a lot higher on Hell in a Cell than me. I'm never going to let that main event slide ever in life.
No. If you cut off that Hell in a Cell, that is clearly easily a 2 thumbs up pay-per-view. But look, if you're that down on
that AJ Styles finish,
listen, remember when it happened, it was the first thing I said to you. This was a goddamn 96. This is a goddamn 96, 97 WCW pay-per-view. You had the undercard when you had your Jerichos and your Rays and your Booker T's and whoever else you want to say, and then you went out there and you went and stunk that shit up with Roddy Piper. Or Macho Man or whoever. That's exactly what happened. Yeah.
I like TLC a lot more.
I agree.
I don't know. I feel like WWE's pay-per-view should be a lot better for all the talent that they have.
I agree.
No matter what they're submitting.
I will say this: Evolution
was the only one in the second half of the year I thought that was just in TLC that I was impressed with.
Yeah, I would say that Evolution and TLC are the 2 pay-per-views that felt wow, these people are living up to the talent that they have that they have at their disposal. And good job on both on y'all for actually doing this 2 times. So I don't know what your pay-per-view of the year is, but for me it's one of them 2, probably.
Yeah. It's probably one of those 2. I really like the Royal Rumble. Nothing in the first half aside from that.
Yeah. But the Rumble is so great, and that's a whole hour. So yeah. I get why you feel that way. Yeah. And also same thing, women the Women's Rumble was good too. Obviously it wasn't it wasn't the Men's Rumble, but you got 2 good Rumbles in an era where that you might not see. It's amazing. It could be years before you see 1 good Rumble.
Bro, and they did them on the same night, which was crazy.
Yes, yeah.
I guess since we have limited amounts of shows left for this year, we might as well crown the LeBron James You Bum of the Year.
Interesting. Okay, let's do it.
I think there's only one guy that can be. He won the award 4 times in 17 weeks. He was a mainstay in being on the voting. Of course, we grab 5 people. If it wasn't week.
Him, it was kind of like like LeBron and Jordan with MVPs. Like, if he's not there, he's always in the discussion.
Yes, this man was always around, finishing top 2, top 3, maybe top 4, avoiding it sometimes. But no question, could there be anyone other than the immortal, the legendary,
the lone constable,
Baron Corbin? The LeBron James You Bum of the Year.
It just sounds funny.
This guy was a ratings killer, a terrible promo.
Yes.
A rotten wrestler.
A terrible actor.
A bad actor. And
he is a one-tool star, and his tool is height.
That's it.
He's 6'7", and you can't teach that.
If he was 6'1", he wouldn't be employed with WWE.
Absolutely.
He is the epitome.
You know what? I'll give him half a tool. He's 6'7", but he's not a stiff. Which makes it even more like, why are you so bad at wrestling if you're that tall and you're not a stiff? You ain't even got to do that much.
He's the epitome of my theory about NXT being a charade.
Yeah.
We'll push our protected people that are our homegrown people. Meanwhile, we don't have a clue what to do with Andrade Cien Almas over on SmackDown. Yeah, he's definitely the bum of the year. I don't think there's anyone close.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that.
Okay, so are we saying so he's the bum of the year for the entire year, or just for like our span on LOP radio?
I guess our span on LP radio. But
okay,
yeah.
So let's do this. Who for the same span? Who is the LLP radio, One Nation Radio wrestler of the year, meaning 17 weeks? I already know what the answer is.
Oh yeah, it's got to be Becky Lynch.
Yes, it is. It
has to be Becky.
It
Lynch.
is Rebecca Lynch. Yes. Absolutely.
I can pull up.
You know what else is interesting during that time?
What?
She got pinned one time. She lost 3 matches in that entire time span. If I remember, it might have changed or whatever, but at one point, or maybe she still is, she was the winningest person on all of SmackDown. Like, it's amazing. Like, we always talk about 50-50 booking.
She won 3 Wrestler of the Weeks, the most of anyone.
Yes. So, it's so funny how we talk about wins and losses, how they should matter, and when they do 50-50 booking, what they don't realize is that even though they don't care about wins and losses, the crowd does. And lo and behold, they by complete accident, they literally protected this woman. And then when it was time for her to get hot, she got hot, and she kept getting hotter and hotter and hotter, and they kept giving her wins against Charlotte, who was a top star. It literally made her to a bigger star than Charlotte has ever been. And it's amazing. Like, it literally fell into their lap on accident. Like, this is like, it's not the Daniel Bryan thing all over again, because it is different, but it's similar in the fact of this ball, like, there's one tipping point moment, and like it just snowballs, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and like I'm really happy because, like, you know, I felt like you know, her and Daniel Bryan, like, they saved the year for me. They really, like, especially Becky. My God, like, she was saving these SmackDown shows. She was saving these weeks where just like, dude, if it was me, like, I could be done with the main roster. I could be done with this show. I could let Rich have this thing, and I could just watch NXT and just be good. She was incredible throughout. She's you know, for the One Nation Radio Awards that we're gonna do next week, like, I don't know what the votings looks like for promo of the year, but like for me,
oh yeah,
but for me, like,
Becky Lynch is gonna do very well.
She had the run she had over these, I think it's been 18 weeks,
yeah,
whatever. These 18 weeks, like, it's just been
career defining.
Yes, she's been incredible. Like, and the crazy part is, like, from Evolution to Survivor Series, it was like, yo, this is next level. Like, this is like the stuff. This is the stuff that you dreamed about. Like, you know, if you're a wrestling fan and you like, I want to try to be a wrestler, or whatever else. Like, that run is like what you wish that you could have.
Yeah, man. But yeah, that's gonna wrap up the show. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you enjoyed this here on, Christmas is when you'll be at least hearing this show for the first time. We will also be back with the One Nation Radio Awards. If you would like to participate in the voting, it will be in the show notes for this, or you can go to the Twitter page for One Nation Radio, at RichLatta32 or at JamesBoy87. We have tweeted it out recently, or you can contact us, tell us you need a ballot. For that, work very hard on those. Voting's coming along nicely, and we look forward to seeing what it is, what you guys think.
Also, if you guys want to do the voting thing and get into it, that's cool. What would also be really cool is if your other wrestling friends that that have been watching or whatever else, like throw them the link or whatever else and let them do some voting too.
Yep.
The more the merrier.
Yes.
just don't be out here trying to scam the process.
Yes.
We'll peep those results.
Yes. That's why we're collecting email addresses. Yeah. So making sure no bots get up in here. Those are out in these streets.
Yeah. You're like, oh, wait, hold on. Who?
St. Pete.
Wait a second. Who in the world? Who in the world just try to do obviously there's no writing, but it'd be fun. Who wrote in Baron Corbin here? Wait a second.
Yes.
What is going on here?
Yes. Just trying to stuff the ballot, stuff the box, as they say. But yeah, that's gonna wrap up the show. Thank you guys, and we are out of here. Peace.
Sorry, Chad.